Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gabbing with Gabby. And today I have a very special guest, Gilbert Castellanos. Hi, Gilbert.
Hello.
I got the last name right.
Yeah, I'm good.
I I practiced. Gilbert is the founder and the artistic director of the Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. And if you know me, you know that my son has been a part of this conservatory for a few years. And these kids are nothing short but amazing. Okay. This is not your elementary, high school group of kids who are learning how to play scales. These are very accomplished, very advanced, and very talented group of young kids who love jazz and who are amazing. And the conservatory is a great place for them to go to hone in on those talents. Gilbert and his group of teachers there volunteer their time to really work hard with these kids and keep jazz alive and instruct them on music theory, and how to perform live. It's just an amazing program. I can't say more amazing things about it. I talk about it all the time. I post about all their performances all the time. I really believe in the program. I love the program, and I believe in Gilbert's dream. And just so happy to have you on here so that we can talk a little bit more about the conservatory for sure. And then we have a fundraiser coming up in August, and we'll touch on that. But Gilbert is an accomplished jazz musician himself. He is a trumpet player, and he is amazing as well. And if you could just give us a little backstory on you and your history, and then we'll talk about a little bit how Young Lions came to light.
Sure, yes. So I grew up in a musical family. My father is a musician to this day. He's semi-retired. He's in his 80s. He still lives in Guadalajara, where I was born. And I grew up with 5 sisters. I'm the second to the youngest. And when I was born, my father had already planned out that I was going to be a musician because,
Yeah.
My 4 older sisters, they were like, no, we got them started on the piano, and that didn't last very long. But when I came along, he was like, perfect. This is it.
He's like, somebody is going to be a musician. It's going to be you, boy.
Exactly. And I had no idea. We had musical instruments laying around the house, and he would rehearse his group at our home. He had a 15-piece salsa cumbia band. So that's like the environment I grew up in. And so there's instruments everywhere. There's congas, there's a bass, there's piano, there's a keyboard, there's guitars and drums, and there was a trumpet. And I remember him saying, if you pick that trumpet up, you're never going to put it down. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I started playing it. Sure enough, next week, lessons. I'm starting to take private lessons with the trumpet player in his band. He's showing up like an hour earlier before the rehearsal to give me a lesson. And long story short, I just fell in love with music. I don't remember a day without music, to be honest. And my mother's not a musician, but she has a beautiful voice, and she would sing all of the traditional Latin songs in our home when she was cleaning or whatever, doing the dishes. And
right.
So that's how I learned all of the boleros, all of the Mexican, Latin American stuff because of her. And like the lyrics, and I was like, wow, that's a beautiful song. What's the name of that song? I want to play it. And I would learn it on my trumpet.
Wow.
So, the cool thing about my father is that he put me on the bandstand at a very young age without me having to be afraid to be on the bandstand because he did it in such a subtle way where it wasn't like, oh, you're going to play with me tonight, so you better be ready. It was just very casual, like, oh, hey, mijo, why don't you come up and play the Mexican national anthem and the American national anthem. I would go up there, I would do, oh yeah, sure, piece of cake. And I would go up there and play it right before they would start. And that was like my gig. And he would give me like $5 or something for doing that.
Oh, nice.
So that's how that started to form into me. Like, I was like, okay, well, if I really want to do this, I need to really practice. And maybe he will play in his band someday. And so sure enough, I started learning his music, and then he would invite me to be this, because he would have 2 trumpet players in the band. He kind of had a pretty big group. He had like 2 trumpet players, a trombone player, two saxophone players, and then your standard Latin rhythm section, piano, bass, drums, percussion, and he was the singer. And so I would like start to go to the gigs, and sure enough, I was in the band, and I would start getting paid. And
nice.
Yeah, but the thing is, he was like, if you're going to do this, and you have to work hard, and that means that because he had a day job. Both of my parents were self-employed, and they both out of our home, and he had an upholstery business. So he was like, you want to pull nails for 6 hours a day, or do you want to practice for 6 hours a day? I was like, oh, I'll practice for 6 hours a day.
Oh, I should have given Elijah that option. Said, do you want to go outside and pull weeds, or do you want to practice drums?
Exactly. Well, it worked. It worked for me.
Maybe I'll try that.
The thing is, having that mindset at that age was also very stressful for me, because he would be doing his thing, pulling nails and listening to me practice. So there was no way of me saying, oh yeah, Dad, I practiced my 6 hours while you were at work all day. It didn't work that way.
Right.
He was there.
He was there monitoring you.
Exactly. And it was like a job. I had like a job at 7, 8 years old playing my trumpet.
Right. Let me ask you, when you first picked up the trumpet, you said, I looked at, your dad said, you pick up that trumpet, you're never going to put it down. But when you first picked it up, did you feel that magic? Was it something that sparked in you?
Yeah, well, I think the magic came like maybe a year or two before that, because I had a toy trumpet that my mother had purchased for me, just one of these little plastic trumpets that,
Yeah.
And I would like sleep with this thing. It was like my favorite toy. I had all these.
Oh my goodness!
But that was like my toy. It was just a little plastic trumpet. And so when I saw the real thing, that was because one of his musicians had left it at the home. There was not a trumpet there before, and I was just like, wait a minute, that was never here before. Let me explore that. And that's when he said to me, if you pick that up, that's it.
Your dad had a knowing. He had a knowing that was the instrument that you were going to play.
Yeah.
We had a toy drum set for Elijah, and he would take that toy drum set on the stage with Marc and his band, and here we are now, however many years later, he has a full drum set, So this is kind of like this thing that was meant to be for you. You were meant to play that trumpet, and your dad knew.
Yeah, that's his purpose, and this is my purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. And none of your sisters ever played any instruments at all?
Well, they all, he started all my siblings on piano. So that was like, you had to take lessons, from, there would be an old lady that would come to the house, and she would teach us and she would work with all of us for like 20 minutes. And and then from there, my father would be like, do you still want to do this? Or, she would say, your kids are not interested in music. They're not prepared.
Yeah. Okay.
So okay, no more. That's it. You guys just do your thing.
That was his test. So now, when did you start playing with your dad's band officially? Did you ever officially start playing?
I was, yes. I believe I was in 6th grade, 7th grade.
Nice.
12. I think it was 13. And
that's about that age.
He would pay me. I mean, he wasn't working like at that time when we had moved to Fresno. That's where I grew up. It wasn't like he was working 7 nights a week. He had some scattered performances here and there, like a ballroom, a dance, on a Saturday, or a quinceañera on a Sunday, and so it was a nightclub. I was playing like in nightclubs when I was 12, 13 years old. It was hard. But it was, I would say, like maybe once a week, twice a week, I was playing with him.
Yeah. Did you ever start your own jazz band? Well, before I say that, did you ever start your own musical group? Because I don't think, were you into jazz 100% by then?
I was, yes. Living and breathing jazz at that point, because my father, he had a very extensive record collection, and the majority of it was jazz. And I would when he would go out and play before I was working with him, I would sneak into his music room and play records, because I didn't want him to think that I liked his music.
Right. Don't give him the satisfaction.
But I fell in love with it. And to this day, I remember having the little recorder, the little tape recorder. I know a lot of this generation, they don't know about what a recorder
They
is.
don't know what that is.
It's a box that you would have to put the 2 fingers on to record. And,
Right.
and I would like put it next to the speaker and I would record the records that way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because being the only boy, I had my own room. My sisters all shared rooms, and so I had my own room, and I was afraid to sleep at night alone. So I would use my little tape recorder to sleep. I would put it under my pillow, and it was all jazz. So I would sleep to jazz like every night.
Yeah.
That was my way of like, okay, there's nothing in the closet, there's nothing under your bed. Just listen to the music, and you're gonna be okay. You're fine. Turn the light out, and you can't turn it back on now, and that kind of thing.
Did your dad ever know that you did that? Did he ever find out?
Yeah, they knew I had a little tape player under my pillow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if he knew what I was listening to, but
okay.
But it was all jazz. I mean, I was like the odd kid growing up. Like everybody's like, Gil's weird. He likes jazz. He listens to this strange music. Everybody's into like Bobby Brown and New Edition at the time, and
yeah.
And here I am with my jazz and my little headphones on, listening to my thing, putting it in the back of the school bus.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like the
that's how it
weirdo.
started. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I don't remember a day going without music. It's just always been a part of my life.
Yeah, you were meant to play. And did you get a degree in music as well? Did you end up going to college?
Berkeley College of Music, music performance, and then I got my master's at California Institute of the Arts, CalArts in Los Angeles. And then I moved to San Diego in 1995. So I've been here for a while.
Yes. So when you moved to San Diego, I remember you telling me that you had it was hard to kind of get into the community here. And so you were like, I'm just going to start my own.
Exactly. Yeah. I had to create my own scene pretty much.
Yeah.
Kind of change the game in a positive way where it was going to be more inviting and it was going to be more encouraging than discouraging to musicians to be a part of this new community.
Right.
At the time, I didn't look at it that way, but then years later, people were like, "Hey, Gil, you don't even know what you established here. It's like you really kind of build a nice community here."
Because your intention was we're going to work together instead of I think what you were telling me was that you were encountering people who were like, no man, that's just for me. I'm not sharing my CR or whatever it is. It was just kind of every man for himself almost, or every person for himself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't know anyone when I moved here. I moved here with my girlfriend at the time, and one soul, and I was out just searching for the music. It's like, where am I going to find the music and my people? Where's my tribe? I need to find people I can connect with. I would try to do that, and I would get shut down. Like, oh, and I see that you have your trumpet with you, but you're not allowed to play with us. You're not going to sit in here.
Oh, wow.
This is not a jam session, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh,
wow.
Okay. So that's when I was like,
what? That is not the vibe with you guys at all. Not at all.
Even if you're a complete stranger and I see you with your instrument, at some point of the night, I'm going to walk over there and say, hey, what do you play, man? What's your name? You want to sit in?
Yeah. Yep. That is 100% true. So how did you start, and where did you start, with bringing music and jazz into San Diego and starting your community?
Well, when I moved here, I was still playing professionally with a group that was touring quite a bit. It was a group called Black Note, and we were still signed on a major label. We were on Columbia Records, and at that time when I moved here, we were on Impulse Records, which was a pretty big jazz label. John Coltrane did most of his records on Impulse Records. So when I moved here, I was still kind of in and out of town, and I met this bass player, and we just hit it off. I met him on the corner, like in the gas lamp district, and I was like, hey, you play bass? He's like, yeah, while I own an acoustic. I was like, cool, that's good enough for me. I was like, listen, we're gonna put a group together, and his name was Dominic Mazzoni, great Italian bass player. And
Uh-huh.
his family, they took me in, and you know, I remember the first night he was making pasta for me at his house. He's like, "So
Ooh,
what
yum.
kind of music do you want to play?" I was like, "Well, I want to play, you know, I want to play original music. I want it to be." At the time, I was calling it postmodern bebop because it was,
Okay.
you know, it's not bebop because it's original, and I'm trying to push the music forward. And he's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I know a drummer and I know a piano player. When you're out doing your thing in Europe or wherever you're going, I'll work on the band. Just let me know what songs you want to do. Leave music with me, and I'll
Oh,
put it together."
cool.
So he put the group together, and I came back and I fell in love with all these guys, and we ended up being a group. And then we started working around town. The first gig I played in San Diego was at a place called the Bacchanal.
Oh, the
Uh,
Bacchanal. Yeah.
yeah, Bacchanal over in Claremont. And
Yeah.
it was a competition. It was like top band wins $500, and I entered the concert or the contest, and I was excited. I was like, "Yeah, you know, we're gonna do this." And I think you had to pay like $25 to be a part of this thing. So we
Yeah.
show up, and I'm looking at all these musicians walking in, and they're rolling in these huge speakers, huge racks, and everything. And I'm like, "Wait a
Oh, you're in the wrong place.
they're all rockers." It was like a rock and
Yeah.
roll thing. But
I know what those look like. Yeah.
and the guys were like, "Gil, I don't know about this." Like, no, no, no. I paid the fee. We're gonna play. We're gonna compete. We won. We won.
What?
Yeah.
Amongst all those rockers?
People were just like
Wow.
mesmerized because it was something completely different. And
Yeah.
from
And
that day, I started getting gigs around town. Like people were like, "Hey, you know, I want you to play here. Can you play here?" I remember Ingrid Croce reached out to me. She's like, "I really want you to play at my restaurant Croce's." And I started playing
yeah,
there in the late '90s. I had like a Thursday night for years, and then
nice.
things just started to blossom, and the scene started to expand, more venues, more jazz clubs. I mean, it's very unfortunate because at that time there were a lot of venues that were really ahead of their time in
Hmm.
terms of their concept. Because if they were around now, it would have been a huge success. But there was a place
Yeah.
called the Juke Joint down on
I
Fourth.
remember the juke joint. I've
Yeah,
gone there several times.
yeah.
Loved that place. Loved it.
Trey Brady, the owner, he really had a great mindset as
It
far as
was such an
concept.
awesome, awesome place.
Yeah, but so you know
Hmm.
the vibe. It's like they were way ahead of
Yep.
their time. People were just not ready for that in San Diego.
I know, because I think it would do really well now too. And it's unfortunate because I mean, anytime I went there, it was busy, and I'm sad that it didn't make it. But it was so cool in there. It was so cool. You order your food, you get in a great show. I
Yeah,
mean, it was just
they had
that
that
place was
gorgeous
awesome.
mural in the back for the music.
Yep.
Incredible.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
to this day, we really don't have a venue like that that caters to jazz and
Right.
where it's very personal. You know.
We should open one.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm
Let's
ready.
do it.
It's been talked. It's been talked about. That'd be incredible.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
All right, I know you can cook, so
Mm.
we got the food covered. I'll try to get
Yeah, right.
you.
Exactly. That might be something to think about.
Well, there's another parent from YLJC that's also considering doing that. You should get together with her because you guys are kind of on the same page, and you're both Italian.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I know what you're talking about.
Sure you do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's such a great idea. Such a great concept. So, so now you have,
Sorry,
established your
we got off the tracks here a little bit with.
No, that's okay. It's a good story. It's a great story. You've established, a jazz scene, started, creating this amazing jazz community. And at what point did you realize, what, that we need to reach the young people, because this is how we're really going to keep jazz alive around here, right? Is getting them when they're young, getting them interested and keeping it going and growing.
Well, I think that started to form from the year that I moved here, like in '95, because
Hmm.
I was already thinking in the way where I was bringing these young musicians I was in my early 20s, but I was also playing with musicians that were my age. And a lot of these musicians ended up moving to places like either New York or they got a record deal. Like they were incredible musicians that kind of went through my bands at that time for like that 5-7 year span. But that's when I was like, and people were like, yo, what are you doing in San Diego? And, everybody's moving to New York. You can totally make it, man. You're like, you're a great player. People need to hear you. You need to move to New York. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to move to New York because I want to make San Diego, New York. And that's
right.
Think about, okay, now how are you going to do this? You got the music part covered, but how are you going to start your farm? Where are you going to get these young players from? Start developing a scene, because at that time it was odd to see a 15-year-old, a 17-year-old come along and be like, oh my gosh, you playing jazz? I play saxophone. Can I sit in? That never happened. It was rare. It was like an anomaly to have someone come and say, wow, I play jazz. There was not, these kids didn't have any exposure to the music, so they didn't know. So I was like, okay, well, I'll start letting these young kids sit in with me whenever the opportunity's right. And Croce's at the time was a bar. It was 21 and over. And so like they couldn't come in, but they had a nice little patio where you can sit. So they would come with their parents, these young musicians that I was kind of mentoring at the time. And I had like maybe 12 or 15 kids at that time, and they all played different instruments. I had like a guitar player, drummers, a few trumpet players, saxophone, piano players, and they just wanted to learn how to improvise. They wanted to learn theory, and they wanted me to teach them about the music. And they would come to my house, and I would give them private lessons. And then I would say, okay, look, work on these 3 to 5 songs, and when you're ready, I want you to come to Croce's and sit in. So their parents would do them, and then they would sit in. Before you know it, they're playing in my band. And then next step, they're playing with people like Michael Bublé. And, it's like, I have a drummer, Ryan Shaw, who his parents would bring him every Thursday. He was like 15 years old, and he would just sit out there with his drum sticks ready to play. Yeah. And that's when I was like, you know what? You need to figure out how to do this on a larger scale now. So I started an all ages jam session at the Thomas Paine Coffee House on Park Boulevard and El Cajon on the corner. It was called Thomas Paine. And I had a session that went from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. And all of the youngsters started to come out. All the high school kids. And I was like, okay, there's potential here. Fast forward a few years later, Croce's moves. Well, they lost their location downtown, and they moved to Bankers Hill. I don't know if you guys ever went to their or their Bankers Hill.
I never went to the Bankers Hill one. No.
She was there. It's called Croce's Park West, and she Ingrid Croce, I'm referring to. Ingrid Croce says to me, "Hey, Gil, I want to give you Wednesdays, and I want you to like do a program, because I remember when you used to bring the kids to the old location. I want you to do something like that here." I was like, "That's perfect, because I'm looking for something like that." And the reason she offered me that is because she heard me do a concert at Dizzy's, at the old Dizzy over in Mission Bay, right off the 5 there, when they were in the it was like a jet ski rental place. It was very during the day, it was a jet ski rental place, and then they put all the jet skis outside and put in a little stage, and then they had jazz concerts at night.
Oh, how funny. Hey, man, wherever you can do it, right?
Yeah, it worked. But I presented my first Young Lions concert there, where I had all these young kids, and we would get together twice a week, and we put together like 10 songs. And they were like, how does this work? I was like, well, you guys are going to get like 80% of the door, and you're going to split it 5 ways. And they're like, what about you? I was like, no, I'm doing this for you guys. I don't want to get paid. This is a lesson for you guys. Sure enough, they had like 200 people there that night. They came out.
Oh my gosh.
It was insane. So these guys walked out of there with a
gang of money.
Yeah, they were stoked. They were pumped. They're like, man, when's the next gig? I was like, well, I'll take it. Slow down, because some of them were on their way to college that following September, because this was like in the summertime. But then that's when I was like, okay, Croce's Park West. We started to do Wednesday nights featuring different young lions, like different kids that I was mentoring. And so that's how that started. And then I was like, there has to be a way to incorporate this into some type of academy or school or conservatory. And Young Lions Jazz Conservatory.
Yes.
It's the spread,
Yeah.
you know?
It
And,
sure did.
and that's how that started.
Yes. And Young Lions Jazz Conservatory is 4 years old.
We're
3 or 4?
Yeah,
4 years old. Yeah.
So the actual
And
conservatory is 4 years old, but the whole concept's been around for my Young
for a
Lions
long time.
yeah, at least I would say 15 years or longer.
Mm-hmm. Why Young Lions? A lot of people don't know that.
Okay, so the reason I've always referred to it as Young Lions is because when I was growing up, that's what the older musicians would refer the new up and coming musicians to be like. Oh, this is, man, you got to check out this young lion, man. He can really play. And that goes all back to like the 40s. And there's a famous record, and it's called Young Lions, and it's a photo of these lions. On the photo, there's like 5 of them. And the album is with Lee Morgan, Wayne Shorter, like musicians that ended up being very established, prolific players, you know, and so that's what that kind of stuck to me. I remember having the album, and I was like, Young Lions, that's cool, and that was a big deal. Like, and especially during like the 80s, there was a Time magazine issue where Wynton Marsalis was on the cover with a bunch of young lions. It was Wynton Marsalis and the Young Lions, and it was like Roy Hargrove, Antonio Hart, Christopher Holiday, who lives here. They were on the cover. Oh my gosh! And it was like, this is so. That name never left. I was like, you know what? There's in the future, I will somehow incorporate this to my life. Yes.
Yeah, and you sure did. It is becoming a well-respected conservatory in San Diego. It's a nonprofit organization. They will turn no one away. You have to audition, but don't ever let money be something that stops you, because that was important to you as well. I think it's important for people to know that financially, when you hear the word conservatory, it sounds prestigious and kind of snobby, like only the 1% are able to come. And that's not the case when you had developed Young Lions. So we can talk about that a little bit as well, like what your thoughts are and your belief system is around that.
Yeah, well, I think that for me growing up, I mean, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and you know, having a big family like that, 5 sisters, and then my parents ended up getting divorced when I was like 15. I didn't have money to go to these summer camps, or to be in this all-state band, or to be in this honors band when there was like fees you had to pay to be in the groups. I always had like a sponsor that my mother would find for me, or sometimes my mother would somehow come up with the funds, like, oh no, you're going to go to this 2-week summer jazz camp. And to me, that was always important, because that was my ticket out of really of the hood. The golden ticket was my music, and to have those opportunities, like the opportunities that I had growing up, that made a huge impact on how I look at life and how I treat Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. We don't turn anyone away. There's no levels in music. You want to do that, that's sports. And music, it's like everyone has something to say and contribute, and I'll find a place where you belong. And the cool thing about that is that you're put into an ensemble, and that's kind of like your family for one entire year. And then, you know, you kind of grow with that group. And I think that's special to a lot of these kids, as you well know, with Elijah. I mean, I remember Elijah was in my Monday night workshop. It wasn't even an ensemble. He wasn't even ready to play the group. It was just kind of a group where I taught these kids scales, and we talked about the blues, and we talked about music, and you know, this is the form, and this is what you do with the 12-bar blues. And now I'm proud to say that he's in the top ensemble at the conservatory. Well, they're all great ensembles, but the ensemble that gets a lot of recognition right now is definitely New Soil, winning their 2nd Downbeat Award for top honored ensemble in the nation. That's pretty big.
Yeah, pretty big.
But back to the we do have tuition. We're a nonprofit, but if you can't afford to be in the program, we will find a sponsor, and we will find the money for you to be in the program, like many students that we have right now in the music program.
Yes. And, it is a nonprofit organization, which means that we do have fundraisers. And we do have one coming up on August 8th
August
at
1st.
Bread and Salt.
August 1st.
What did I say? August 8th? I'm sorry, August 1st. August 1st at Bread and Salt. I don't know why I said 8, but August 1st at Bread and Salt. I better get it right because I'm the one who's organizing this thing. Everyone's like, we thought it was the 8th. Nobody's there. The doors are locked. The 1st. So at Bread and Salt, that's down in South San Diego. It's a fantastic venue, a fantastic time. We'll have lots of big names performing, which we're not going to announce just yet, but certainly Gilberts will be there. We'll have great food and drink and just, come and mingle with other people and come watch a live show. It's been so long since we've been able to go out and enjoy music live, and now things are starting to open up. So we anticipate it's going to be a packed house, hopefully, and hopefully we'll be allowed to do that, right? We're just anticipating a lot of people, a lot of joy, and, come and support Young Lions Jazz Conservatory, support keeping jazz alive, and really just the program itself. I mean, the program is, it runs on fundraising and people and their generosity. And we certainly encounter a lot of generous people who do love jazz and who want to support, the dream, which is Young Lions Jazz Conservatory, and making it a lot bigger than it is. We've certainly talked about a lot of things too, we're like, hey, maybe can you do this? Have you ever done that? So, they're a great group of people. It's a great program. And, if you have a child who loves music and they're age 10, maybe like 9 or 10, you're going to start accepting kids around that age.
Yeah, we've had as young as 8. And right now I'm in the process of trying to create a toddler program for toddlers.
Yes.
Where we have them come in and just bang on instruments. We'll have a bunch of little drums and just get them acclimated to playing rhythms. And I think that's where it starts for a lot of
sure does.
So we're going to do that. And so that's one bookend. The other bookend is that we're going to have the old Lions. So we're now going to offer an adult course for those of you who, I know we have a lot of retired doctors and lawyers that always send me messages. Hey, Gil, I used to play the trumpet 30 years ago. I want to get back into it. Do you offer anything?
Oh, that's so great.
So we're going to do that. And we're going to actually, that program will definitely start in the fall. So there's going to be a lot more information coming out about that. The adult classes. And my dream is to have not one instructor, but have all of our instructors in rotation with that group. So these all of us.
I love that idea because there are a lot of people like later on in age. I mean, they're about just went a different way, but they still love music. That doesn't go away,
right?
And they might have played this instrument and they might have been very good when they were younger, right? But like I said, path goes another way, and they want to come and revisit now that they have a little more time in their life. So right. I love that idea. That's amazing. So from one end to the other, and the between meet.
Exactly. And we have the youngsters right in the middle, the heart and soul right there.
Yeah. Yes.
And the cool thing is you don't have to be retired. You can be a semi, amateur musician in town. Maybe you have a day job and you like to play music and you have you play gigs at night. This might be a good opportunity for you to kind of home in on your skills as far as learning the jazz repertoire and learning a little more harmony and theory about jazz. And I'm really optimistic it will be a huge success for the program.
I don't doubt it. I just don't doubt it. I mean, of course, it's going to be a huge success. I mean, my experience of you is that you're just a very good-hearted person. You're very genuine. You're very good-hearted. You really believe in the kids, and you make it about them. You never get in their space, in their way. You allow them to figure it out. Sometimes they're up there, they're struggling, and you just stand back and you just are holding the space for them. And I feel like everything that you do just kind of turns to gold, and not meaning financially like turning to gold. I'm just saying that it's just such a good idea, and it just blossoms. right? I guess that's a better way of saying it. With everything that you touch, you have like a green thumb when it comes to it, just totally blossoms and flourishes.
Okay.
And, you know, Young Lions has just grown since we've been here. I just sent you the other day a picture of the first group.
Oh, no, I love that. We have to somehow
They were
incorporate
so
that.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were so little, and I'll post that in this video too. It's just a great picture of all the, you know, they were young, you know, they were little. It was 4 years ago, and it just has been growing since then. And they're located down in Liberty Station. How can they find Young Lions? Can you share your website and all that good stuff now, please?
Yeah, so Young Lions Jazz Conservatory, you can find us at YLJC.org, YLJC.org, or even if you wanted to type in Young Lions Jazz Conservatory, the website will pop up.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find us under the same name on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. Yeah, and is all the information that you need is there for when they are due. Mm-hmm.
So one more thing, we also have a YouTube channel, Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. So you can go to YouTube and watch any of the student ensembles that have been archived.
Yes, yeah, and please do that, because, you know, I can't reiterate enough that these are not, you know, inexperienced kids. These are very talented kids. They really are. I mean, if a lot of times you close your eyes, you would be surprised that that's a 15-year-old kid up there, you know. And then you open your eyes and you're like, I can't believe it. How, for me, I'm not a musical person. I love music, but I don't play any instruments. That's just to the males in my family. The females don't play instruments. But that doesn't mean that I don't understand what it takes to play music. So sometimes, you know, you're just sitting there and you're just in awe. I mean, they really are very talented kids. Gil has a talented group of people working with these kids. I mean, they're just amazing. And you can check out all their links. I'll share them in the description below. I will also encourage you to like their Facebook and Instagram page and sign up for their emails, because August 1st, they are having that fundraiser, and we'll be sending out, you know, ways that you can purchase tickets and all that good stuff. And we would love for you all to be a part of it and to come watch live and see all these amazing people playing and just kind of enjoy the community. It's a great community. It really is. So Gil, thank you so much for being on here. Just a little, yeah, thank you. A little side funny note. We've already done this interview, but I forgot to hit record.
You did? What was this?
So that's just a fun little note for you guys to share and giggle like total newbie. So now forevermore, I have this. Okay, record. Right. Oh, but I appreciate you.
I see the little red light now.
Yes, definitely recording. Thank you, Gil. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time on Gabbing with Gabby. Bye.